Hello and welcome to the trade setup. In this video, we are looking at energy fuels. It is time for another update. And today we start on the weekly as we have an indicator suggesting that we would be looking to continue in this overall uptrend. Now, this indicator alone wouldn't have as much weight if it didn't compared with the possibility of tracking a full corrective pattern in this structure, in this development we have been tracking along the way. But it does, and that is why we are going to look for this opportunity, for this signal, for more evidence in this video. And if you want to track this development along with us, I would encourage you to subscribe as we will continue to provide every opportunity available on this chart and many others to you directly. Now, what is this indicator I am talking about? Well, of course, it is the RSI showing us on the weekly time frame a hidden bullish divergence. And what am I talking about? Well, here's the thing. In a hidden bullish divergence, we will look for a correction, right? We have a correction on the chart. We have the same development, similar development on the RSI. Nothing particular about this. Now, of course, we have also identified here a bearish divergence as we formed a higher high on the chart and a lower high on the RSI. But at the same time, in this follow-up correction, we formed a higher low on the chart. On the RSI, we formed a lower low. This is a hidden bullish divergence, which is strongly suggesting that we would be looking at trend continuation. Now again, this is an indicator. This indicator alone wouldn't have the power to provide a trade setup, an opportunity by itself, but paired with the structure we have been tracking in this area, the context of this chart, we are able to capture such value. Now, let's get through these developments to actually have the full context when looking for opportunities in this smaller time frame. So, on this chart, we have been tracking this initial 5-wave move to the upside, which is strongly suggesting that after a 3-wave correction into the area of support, we would expect with high probabilities at least another 5-wave move to the upside. Now, technically, this can be considered complete, although I would consider this wave 5 to have been quite weak, unsatisfying even, and I would like to see it extend to higher prices. I can no longer track direct continuation to higher prices in an internal structure in this area, but I can track a larger ending diagonal within this wave 5. This will be my main interpretation. And of course, we even have the possibility of having this entire movement as a diagonal structure, but I find that to be a much less likely scenario. I do prefer the white interpretation to be taking charge here instead of simply building an ABC pattern in an extension in this yellow structure. Now, is this necessary? No. Within the preferred scenario, within the ideal structure of this chart, we would actually follow through. But with a break below $14.5, we should be prepared for a wider failure of this chart. We should be prepared for one of the other interpretations to take us to much lower prices, where the first level of support really sits at $12.3. That would be within the least bearish scenario, and there are quite bearish options, some of which could even lead to new all-time lows. Now, before we even get there, we have several support levels we could be tracking. We have several scenarios that could allow a reversal. And I'm looking for this to be the first one, right? I'm looking for this extension in the white structure preferably, where we have an ABC pattern within a wave 1, we are tracking an ABC pattern within a wave 2, and we are looking to build an ABC pattern within a wave 3 to new highs, and then so on with the wave 4 and the wave 5, the same outcome, continuing to higher prices within this overall wave 5. Does it need to build this? Once again, no, but it is a pattern I consider worth tracking. So, in this correction, we have had a couple of ideas of how it could unfold, but primarily we have been tracking, once again, an ABC pattern, right? So we had this as a wave A. The wave A could have theoretically bottomed in any of those lows, doesn't really matter to me too much. But then we have this as a wave B top and then a wave C that we expect to build a 5-wave structure within. And in the previous video, we had the possibility to build a wave 5 to have a bottom in place within this wave 5. completing thus the wave C and looking for the reversal to high prices. Well, as we stated even in the previous video, it wasn't ideal necessarily that the wave 5 had been the longest wave. And we have been looking for some other structures in this overall movement to the downside. It doesn't need to be a wave C developing in this structure. So we have been looking potentially for a blue interpretation where we would have liked to see actually an additional low after a wave 4 correction. And while technically we didn't get a sustained break above the 61.8% retracement, I do consider this wave 4 to be unsatisfying, let's say less than ideal for this development. Now, of course, we did form an additional low, and we do need to assign this to some other count, and I would still not be able to clearly track this movement as a wave C. I do still have troubles looking for a 5-wave pattern in this area, so the idea of a larger A, B, C pattern might not be so appealing, but at the same time, I would be nitpicking to look into this small time frame to identify exactly how this structure has developed. I would prefer to allow this to have been even part of the wave 3, but more realistically, I can even look for other patterns that could allow this to have been actually the wave 3 itself. Yeah, I could consider the wave 1 to have bottomed, let's say, either here, and then the wave 2 could have still topped here, the wave 3 would have been down here. And yeah, in this case, we would have a full pattern within this wave C. We really wouldn't need any further extensions. We could consider the pattern, the structure satisfied. I could consider the wave 1 to have bottomed here. Doesn't really matter in the end. The idea is I have a larger 5-wave structure. And we all know that corrections can get quite messy. Yeah, this was an ending diagonal we have been tracking in this wave C anyway. And in the end, I would be looking for further signals that this would form a reversal. Yeah, I don't need to obsess over what interpretation would actually be more likely. For me, I would even remove these small time frame patterns. I would consider this potentially as a wave C in place, except that I want to keep them to provide you still an internal area of resistance. I want to see broken for yet another signal that this wave C would have a bottom in place. So what I would be tracking here is the 78.6% retracement for this entire wave 5, and this is under the idea that we would be building a larger A, B, C pattern within the wave 5 itself to look for a potentially full count, for a potentially full structure here. So in this development, we would be watching the levels between $17.5 up to $18.9. Normally, we could even be looking to extend lower prices in an A, B, C pattern here, but based on the extension we have gotten today, we have already broken any relevant resistance levels we would have had for such a structure. So for me, I am looking for a bottom to potentially be in place. We can consider on the daily that we haven't gotten a sustained break even below the 61.8% retracement, and an extension to lower prices would really be not even an issue, not even something unexpected or that would cause us to think twice about the interpretation we are tracking. Now, what would we be looking at in terms of the ideal target for this next wave to the upside, assuming a bottom would be in place? And I wouldn't recommend to look for positions based on the potential outcome, on the potential profit, but to start looking at your stop loss first, right? Consider how much can you lose on this trade, not how much you can gain. But the ideal target for context for a wave 3 in such a structure would be $51.6. Again, it could be that this is building a wave C instead. Well, the ideal target for the wave C would be $37.5. In either case, we would be looking at considerable gains to be had if it manages to build this structure. Now, as we started with the RSI, I also want to close with it. In this movement to the downside, in this overall wave C, as always, we are looking for bullish divergences as an additional indicator that a bottom would be in place. So in the case of this structure, I would expect to form the bottom on the RSI where we have bottomed within the wave 3. On the hourly, this is actually not even present, but on more respectable timeframes like the 4-hour timeframe, the daily, we can see we have the wave 3 bottom on the chart, we have the bottom on the RSI. We have a lower low on the chart in the wave 5, we have a higher low on the RSI. The same story present in the 4-hour time frame. Yeah, we have the bottom on the RSI at the respective wave 3 on the chart. We have a lower low in the wave 5, we have a higher low on the RSI within its respective wave 5. So once again, this is another signal that this count does see a momentum shift, does see decrease in the overall strength of this movement to the downside, does signal that we could be looking for the reversal to have already started. Now, in terms of this development itself, there isn't much to talk about. It is literally just a few candles we see within this area. But I could tell you, within an ideal pattern, I would see an initial 5-wave move to the upside in something like a 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5. If we build it, we can have a bit more confidence that we would see a correction and then continuation within at least another movement. If we get a stronger breakout, even better. But it's within such a small time frame that I wouldn't trust any support zone or even the structure itself for such a development. Yeah, if we go here on the 5-minute, for example, we could actually even consider that the 5-wave move would have a top in place where we can more clearly count an internal 5-wave move to the upside within the wave 3, and then we would have a 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 basically, right? But it's definitely not within a reliable time frame, and especially such time frames do see failures all the time. Now, in terms of support, what I could be tracking for the current development, I would be looking at the levels between $17.1 down to $16.5, where if we actually theoretically have a wave 1 in place in this high, we would expect to actually extend within an internal correction in this structure. So yeah, we would be looking for the wave 2 to theoretically reach at least $17.1 before extending to higher prices in this structure. Now, if it manages to extend from this support zone, does it mean that we will see a wave 3 form directly? No. Remember, a wave B is expected to be a 3-wave correction. It could be that we are building an A, B, C pattern, but certainly this would be the more likely portion of this uptrend. Now, if it weren't within such a small time frame, it could make for an interesting trade setup, but as it stands right now, I could see this extend even directly in a wave C, even in a wave 3. I wouldn't overthink the actual pattern or the levels to look for a trade setup. And by the time I actually upload this video, we could have reached even new highs, we could break the area of resistance, or we could be deep within the area of support. Ultimately, such time frames are generally filled with noise, and I do not recommend to use them too much for trading. We are using them more observationally. And for now, I believe it best to stop here. We have the levels we need to watch. We have the support zone that would indicate a direct extension in this overall structure. We have the resistance levels where we know that a sustained break above $18.9 would be an indication that we would break even above the wave 4 swing high, which would be a further indication that quite possibly a bottom would be in place and we would be looking for a larger uptrend or at least a larger relief rally to emerge. And for now, these are the levels, this is the trade setup. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and if you enjoy our content and want to support us directly, check out our channel membership. As a thank you, I would like to invite you to sign up to our channel newsletter, where you get access to our monthly top picks. And by the way, if you sign up right now, this week, you will still get the picks we have made for April, but only this week. And other than that, let me know what else you would like me to cover, and I'll do my best to do that in the days and weeks ahead. And until then, I hope you have a nice day, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye bye.